I'm about to commit an act of copyright infringement. Okay, stop. That's enough of that clip. Do you want to get sued, man? But what if we flip forward just a couple years? Then I wouldn't be committing copyright infringement anymore. Because in 2024, Steamboat Willie is going to enter the public domain, which is this amazing thing filled with so many of your favorite characters. Obviously, Disney's pretty worried about this. This isn't the first time that Mickey's gotten close to leaving their hands and entering the public domain. Let's explain by going all the way back. A brief history of copyright law in the United States of America. Alright, here we are. Let's take a look at the Constitution. Luckily for us, I stole it. Okay, let's see here. Gettysburg Address. No, that's not it. Declaration of Independence. Now, I should save that for later, though. I hear there's a map on the back of this. Oh, interesting. Alright, here it is. We the people. The Constitution of the United States of America. Let's take a look at Article 1, Section 8. One of the powers of Congress is to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. Well, that's great, isn't it? What an amazing way for authors to make a healthy profit off their work for the majority of their lifetime before it expires and enters the public domain to benefit society. Right? Wrong! Since the original Copyright Act of 1790, the length of a copyright term has been extended 4 times. The most recent one was a big boy. This is all because of the Sonny Bono Copyright Term Extension Act. Wait, this Sonny Bono?
I got you, babe. I got you, babe.
Wow, I guess he was a congressman. Good for him, huh? You know, he gets a lot of flack for this act because people assume that just because his name was on it, that it must have been his final wish before he died to allow his children and grandchildren to profit off of Sonny and Cher songs for another 20 years. Actually, it was introduced to the House nearly a year before his death, and he wasn't a sponsor of it during any of that time. He only became one of the 12 co-sponsors once it was reintroduced to the House after not passing the first time, and he died 3 months after this. They saw his fond memory as a good thing to take advantage of, and they renamed it after him. And that same day, passed through the House by a voice vote, which is very rare, and then even rarer, it passed through the Senate unanimously. Not a single senator opposed to this bill. How could it have so much support? How could this happen?
Hiya, bud. Take this money and don't ask any questions. Haha.
No, Mickey, I don't want your bribery. Oh. So maybe that's how? It does seem to be getting a little fishy in here. Of the 13 initial sponsors of the House bill, 10 were receiving contributions from Disney's Political Action Committee. Greed! Corruption! But then if you look at how much they were actually paid, the largest amount to any representative was $5,000. The bill sponsor in the Senate got $6,000, and the Senate Majority Leader got $1,000. I mean, this is just the late 90s, so that's like $1,000 is a lot of money, but wouldn't you think that if the vote, power, and influence of the Senate Majority Leader were truly up for sale, then it would be more than $1 grand? It's possible that maybe this bill wasn't an act of corporate greed, that maybe it was just a good bill. In the Senate report for the Sonny Bono Act, it does say it would harmonize US copyright term length to the EU, and that could be positive for trade. So maybe this was good. I mean, copyright always has been inherently good. Here's what copyright is actually good for. It exists to promote creativity. By placing constraints, it encourages originality. George Lucas couldn't get the rights to a Flash Gordon remake, so instead he invented his own sci-fi universe. And I'm sure George doesn't regret that one bit with his $5 billion net worth. I mean, Donkey Kong was originally going to be a Popeye game. The deal fell through, so they had to make a brand new main character. They made Mario, and copyright provides protection. If creators don't hold the right to their works, they have no motivation to keep on creating because, well, they gotta make a living somehow. When Walt was getting started and he was changing the world, it would be a tragedy if someone took away his mouse. But what if he saw what Disney does today with his beloved creation? His granddaughter absolutely despises their business practices. Despite copyright's inherent benefits, Disney uses them for the worst. You don't see Disney suing every kid who gets Spider-Man face paint at a county fair. When a 4-year-old Spider-Fan dies, his dad asks Disney if he can put the web slinger's likeness on his son's tombstone. Disney denies the request, claiming they want to disassociate their characters from death to preserve their innocence. This character? A company who has these characters? And wanna know the most hypocritical part? Disney sues others when they use their properties, but the grounds that Disney's built on were taken from others. Even Steamboat Willie was based off a Buster Keaton film. I mean, most iconic Disney characters are taken from properties in the public domain. Romeo and Juliet wasn't even original. It was based off of a book, which was based off of previous iterations, all of which roots back to a piece of Roman poetry. Who knows if that was even the first? Now we can take Romeo and Juliet and we can readapt it into new works, new artistic visions. We shouldn't restrict creators from putting new twists onto classic works. The ability to do this has created some really great things. When a work's in the public domain, it can be better accessed by the public, so there's more opportunities for it to become beloved. Cool. It's a Wonderful Life, the beloved, iconic, classic Christmas movie. But when this film originally came out, it was a flop. It was so bad of a flop that when it was time for the studio to renew the copyright in 1974, they didn't. So the film entered the public domain. Once the film's in the public domain, any TV network can air it without having to pay it off. So many of them did. Over the next 20 years, this film was constantly airing during Christmas season. It was free for the networks, and it became a Christmas classic because of this. Everyone was watching it because it was always airing. What an amazing thing the public domain can do. It took something underappreciated and it made it accessible to millions, and it became a classic. In 1993, they realized they still owned the rights to the story the film was based off of and the music in the film. So even though the film itself was in the public domain, they were able to notify TV stations and say that they can't air it without paying music royalties. Bummer. What a terrible loophole that was able to take away something that was only able to become truly special because of its time in the public domain. There's gotta be some sort of middle ground. Creators need to have the rights to their works so they can make a living, but these works shouldn't be locked off to the public way after their deaths. Walt Disney's been dead for over 50 years, so these acts are protecting nothing but the profits of the mega corporations, and that's creating some major issues. Orphan films. These are films which have been abandoned by their copyright creator, often because the creators died, but the copyright stays in place. Now because of that, many of these films are literally disintegrating. After enough time, the cellulose nitrate that makes up film stock shrinks, warps, and even spontaneously combusts. It's estimated 90% of the films from the 1910s have decayed past the point of restoration. And because of copyright restrictions in place, especially on many of these orphaned works, they can't be accessed by preservationists who just want to make sure that these films are restored to their full glory because they show our nation's heritage. A lot of these include newsreels, major motion pictures, documentaries. Thousands of these are in basements, literally turning to dust because of copyright restrictions. There's also a tricky little middle ground, where copyright infringement is allowed, but not because you're actually infringing. This is fair use. This is in things like the news, educational videos, documentaries, YouTube reaction videos, times when you're not actually profiting off of using someone else's work, but off of the commentary that you add to it. And then there's my favorite, parody law. This one's a lot of fun. It's the reason why things like SNL, South Park, Weird Al Yankovic songs are allowed to use copyrighted logos, slogans, likenesses. Here's one for all you lovers out there. Chris Angel, mascara magician. What can we do? Well, for the moment, there's not really much we can do. It would take the power of Congress to make change. They could create a new bill, one that might shorten term length, or limit renewal, or allow preserving orphaned work. Until this kind of reform is made, we're stuck, as more films disintegrate and more works are getting locked away from the public. But trust me, when I say to you, Disney, I'm excited for 2024. Your mouse is getting let out of his cage. I can be as creative as I want with it, and you can't stop me.